it's late, so I need to be very, very brief. We can. I actually held my tongue on all the energy stuff. There's a 6 years ago, 8 years ago, when I started getting concerned about the climate change problem, and looked into it. I thought I was a scientist. I thought, oh, it's just science and technology. And in the last 2 years, I'm beginning to realize, of course, that's very important to give us better options, but also I'm spending an increasing amount of time talking to policymakers, but also trying to understand the economics of it, and also understanding in the economics. So I'm beginning to teach myself economics, so I can answer some of the economists I don't really believe. But it is, again, I can talk to you about this. I just wanted to first say thank you all for coming and listening. I prefer the word thrifty. And sportsmanlike. but Vladin was absolutely right. Gene was a very positive influence in my life, so I'm not nearly as thrifty as I was in the 80s and 90s. I also think that to see, especially the people who I collaborated with and the people I collaborated with as graduate students and postdocs especially, but also there were many other collaborators, how well they're doing it really touches me, because I think that's something that, long after I'm dead, that will continue. I don't know, is Gene here? But he is? Where? Eugene? No. Anyway, so this is, again, so I was his child, scientific child, and so he gets to see a lot of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, actually. I do want to thank a lot of the people. This event doesn't come together all by itself, and there were many people at LBNL and also on campus that I need to thank. In LBNL, certainly the director and administrative staff, I will make further remarks at dinner, worked very, very hard on the details of the organization, the budget. But in addition to that, creative services, the conference services, the audiovisual help, the facilities and custodian, the site access and security, and all of those people worked very, very hard. Again, more remarks later. And I kind of made a faux pas. Bob Bergeneau made some very gracious remarks last night about, and it was absolutely true. He talked about Bob Dines trying to recruit both of us. We had gotten to know each other, again, Bell Labs veterans, and so Bob Dines, the president of the University of California, when he was trying to recruit both of us, he was using each, some bosonic effect. It's one of those, are you going to come? Are you going to come? If we both come. It reminded me very much of a conversation I had with Doug Osheroff when we were at Bell Labs. When I finally decided I was going to go to Stanford, I mean, there was a very tough choice between Berkeley, Stanford, and Harvard. Doug called me up a couple of months after that and said, "You're going to Stanford? Tell me about it. I was thinking of going to Berkeley." So I apologized to Berkeley. But so it was, but it was anyway. But my thing with Bob is absolutely us coming together was very good, and there were many instances when sometimes organizations through history and through different perspectives, there are these little brush fires that start, and there's some antagonism that starts to grow. And Bob and I would meet and say, okay, this is how we're going to stamp it out, and try to keep it so that everybody doesn't get waxed about this or that, and bend over backwards to be fair to each other. And so that has happened in the last 4 years since we've come. It takes a lot. Hopefully we're doing the same with SLAC and LB&L, because again, there's always a temptation at a smaller level that people who fight for their institution then don't see a bigger picture. And so Persis Drell and I, who we've known since she was a beginning graduate student and I was a postdoc, are also trying to do that. But again, just wanted to thank all the people who've made this event possible at Berkeley Lab, and actually at Stanford. There are many, many people, Ping, Rosanna, is Ping here? Okay. And then the organizers of the Theme Walk, who I will thank tonight. It's very touching. Of course, there were some over-exaggerations about how on the good stuff, and it was right. Gene did get me to buy a Lexus. Pardon? A pre-owned. I couldn't go all the way. Yes, so I bought, but it's now 11 years old, and I'm hoping it'll last at least another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But it's a big car now. That's my only problem. But anyway, thank you all for coming. I hope all of you can stay for the dinner and enjoy some more and good times, good food. But it's been a thrill to listen to all of you, and especially my students and postdocs and my alum. My impression, I didn't really want it, and there were times when I said, just stop it. But it's nice actually in hindsight to have it when you're 60, because when you're 70 and when you're 80, I might not have appreciated it as much. Old age is creeping up very rapidly. As many of my former students and postdocs, they've noticed how white I have gotten in the last 4 years. But it's a good way to turn white. So anyway, thank you all very much.